This is my 4th time through this. The last time everything went well, except there was no audio. So I'm going to do it again. What am I doing? I want to show you guys, and if there's any gals, on flightsim.com, I want to tell you about the G1000 NXi because I've noticed that there's some hesitancy about it. Okay, and I have a flight plan all set up here. And the first thing I'm going to do, well, I'm going to start the plane. That's what I'm going to do. Would be a good idea. There we go. It doesn't always go nicely like that. Good. And this one I will do manually because that is item by item.
Avionics master switch.
Because if you autocomplete this, it's going to release the parking brake, and you're going to go right into that building. I will.
Lights, as required.
I don't want to do that because that would be the end of the flight.
Fuel boost pump. Check off.
So what I'm going to do now is show you how to enter a flight plan. You go to FPL flight plan. This is the multifunction display. I mean, for the multifunction, whatever, flight management system. I have a multifunction panel Logitech over here. You can't see it on top of my Logitech yoke. And it's really great because there are dials I don't have to mess around with in here. And they can be tricky if you're not right on them because the thing will start zooming in and out. Okay, so how do you enter anything? You press that, you get a cursor, then there we go. This small knob, you turn it. Then you go up here. That is a keyboard icon. It might look like a ladybug or something, but it's a keyboard icon, which enables you to use your computer keyboard, which is great. Enter that. Pick a runway. I'm going to go out 30 left. Enter. Enter. Done. Okay. Now the next thing is to methodically enter your waypoints one by one. After I just learned the hard way, which I'm not going to show you, if you don't do that in the first place, stop that. You don't get the approach you want. I can't even begin to describe it, and I'm not going to show it. But I just had to start everything over. Okay, so that says VP891. Okay, that's really a VOR thing right off the runway. Then I'm going to do it again. So this can be very repetitive, but you can watch. The next place is ICASA, you casa, me casa. Okay, ICASA. Enter. And the next one, scroll it, is the VPBBX. Can't even say that. So again, click that. VPBBX. Enter that. See, it's starting to. Let's back off the back off. You can see. Okay, not finished yet. And then SEPID. So that again, SAPID, enter. Okay, what's after that? Well, Santee. Santee, I don't know that I have to put that in, but I will. I'm not sure about that because it's actually, let's bring up the chart. Go to this is Navigraph, which I really like, but you have to pay for it. Well, the initial approach fix is IAF is at LEPWU. I think I'm going to enter Santee. I don't think it's redundant. I hope not. Oh, stop that. Jeez. Drives me crazy. Again, I would really like to know from anybody with VR, virtual reality, if they have this problem. Do you have to chase knobs in there, or is it easier? Okay, now I'm going to select the approach. Enter. Whoops. Go back. Let's go back there. Flight plan. Start over. Approach. Select approach. Enter. Since when? Jeez, what is going on? Oh, you know what? Never put in the destination. Oh boy, what a day I'm having. Okay, we forgot the destination. I'm getting punch drunk here. Obviously didn't know. KWVI. Alright, that's where we're going. Now, select a runway. 2. There's so many ways you can mess up. I do not want to ever really fly a plane. Okay, now we can select an approach. Enter. And that's what I want. RNAV GPS. Runway 2 LBV. I'm going to enter that. The vector is Santee. There. Now, set the barrel, I guess, just for fun. We don't really need it. And more knob twiddling. Come on. So I'm going to set it for 450. I'll tell you why in a second. This thing would stop. Jesus. Excuse me. I just wanted to show you how to do this. And then we... All right. Load it. Do not activate it at this point. Just load it. All right. Why isn't it loading? Okay, it's loaded. All right. Phew. Well, let's take the flight plan away for a minute. And there we go. So everything's there. Gonna fly out here or here. Santa Cruz. Go to LEPWU, which is the initial approach fix. IAFE, the interim fix. Fox of the final fix. And the God's willing, we will have a vertical navigation all the way to the runway. Why because it's an LPV approach, meaning, let's overlay that one, meaning localizer performance with vertical, stop that, golly. Oh man, it's just gonna drive me crazy. Localizer performance with vertical guidance, and the minimum is 448 feet, meaning if you are not familiar with it, that's the decision altitude. Minimum decision altitude. If you can't see the runway at 450 feet, forget it. Okay? And so I'm going to stop talking now. We're all gassed up. I'm going to get permission from the tower to taxi, and then I'm going to taxi out to 30 left.
Say ground, Beechcraft Alpha Lima Oscar Hotel Alpha request taxi for departing straight out with Bravo.
Beechcraft Alpha Lima Oscar Hotel Alpha taxi to and hold short of runway 30 left via taxiway Victor Golf Whiskey 1 Delta Whiskey Charlie cross runway 30 left Charlie cross runway 30 right Charlie Yankee Alpha 1 cross runway 30 right Alpha 1. Contact tower on 124.0 when ready.
Okay, these instructions are insane because they want you to cross an active runway like 2 or 3 times when from where we are it's just a straight shot on the first taxiway. Well, I'm not going to do that. Boy, it's busy here. There's no landing gear on that. He doesn't have his gear down. Oh my God. Blue things shouldn't be here. They're for assistance, and the only reason they're here is I set that one time when I was at Denver, quote, and I wanted to taxi, and I got a runway that was miles away from where I was. I swear I was taxiing for 20 minutes, and I would never have found my way without these things. Because I can't understand those instructions, the alphanumeric instructions. They just, you know, they're too fast with them. I don't know. All right. Back to clearance. Back to clearance. Okay. Soon, San Jose Tower. Request VFR.
San Jose Tower, Beechcraft Alpha Lima Oscar Hotel Alpha ready at runway 30 left straight out departure.
Beechcraft Alpha Lima Oscar Hotel Alpha altimeter tree 0.11 wind tree 47 at 4. Straight out departure approved.
All right.
Cleared for takeoff
Let's
runway tree.
get out of here before somebody else comes. Set the flaps before I forget. So, and acknowledge that before they bug me. All right.
Oscar Hotel Alpha, please acknowledge.
I just did. All right. Bye.
Cleared for takeoff runway 30 left Beechcraft Oscar
Okay.
Hotel Alpha.
As you notice, we're on course already here. On the course direction indicator on the magenta GPS, and flaps are set. Let's go. I think there's a bit of a crosswind. There was a plane I saw landing. I don't think it was a generic because big jet, no landing gear. Well, the gear weren't down. So my gear are going up. And I'm gonna trim for a positive climb rate, whatever they call it. We've got. Okay, this multifunction panel, in addition to having all these nice knobs, which really is saving. You know, and there's something I completely forgot. Speaking of knobs, I forgot to set the altitude. I'm always forgetting something. But, so I want to go to 4,000, turn on nav, vertical speed, and here we go. We're climbing to 4,000, and we're on the my pacifier, which is the bye-bye San Jose. Autopilot, I call it my pacifier, because I become very calm when I don't have to do anything, and there's no work. And so, to your right, over there, there's a big stadium. I'm not sure who that is. Oh, I bet that's the, that's where the 49ers play. I betcha.
San Jose Tower Beechcraft
That's
Alpha
it.
Lima Oscar Hotel Alpha
San Francisco 49ers play over there. This is the South San Francisco Bay salt flats, salt evaporation ponds, and
Normal approach Beechcraft Alpha Lima Oscar Hotel Alpha is type Beechcraft be 36 miles southeast of Moffett, 1,500 feet. Request flight following.
they harvest salt. I don't know who harvests salt. Somebody does. And
Squawk Tree 246 Beechcraft Oscar Hotel Alpha.
what else? That's cool. I hadn't looked that way before to see the stadium. Something feels a little different about this. Well, I don't know. I just hadn't looked that way before. So I really like, it's fun anytime taking off from here. Yeah, sorry. Well, I did, but I was talking to my friends here.
Roger Beechcraft Oscar
Okay.
Hotel Alpha.
I love looking at the scenery here. You got the whole of Silicon Valley spread out to the south. I think that's Highway 101 down there. You got the bay. You've got the San Francisco Peninsula to the north. SFO's off over that way. Oakland's over there. And so it's kind of fun. All right. So just a little more about the NXi, then I'll shut up. So what can I tell you? At some point, not yet, I'm gonna push that VNAV. You have to arm VNAV, okay? You arm it. Just like you arm nav, all these buttons, other than the autopilot. You engage the autopilot, I think. But all these buttons, you arm them so you can use them. And that's my understanding anyway. I told you I'm a dummy, I'm a layperson like you, and I'm learning like you are, or maybe wanna be. And I thought maybe if I could explain it to you, one, I'd understand it better myself. And you'll understand it more easily than watching some of these people who assume that you have a lot of prior knowledge. I'll check our barometer. Hasn't changed. So we're almost at our target altitude. So when we get closer to down here, I'm going to arm VNAV. I'm going to reduce the alt setting, the green setting, 3,000 feet. Why? Because we're going to have to descend to 3,000 feet between Lepwu and Ifafi. We'll be at 4,000 here. We're going to send a 3,000 there, and we are going to continue on down 2,000 at Foxhub, and everything working right. We will have vertical guidance all the way to the runway 2 at Watsonville. Okay, I'm back with you, I hope. We are at this point about 6 miles from Santa Cruz. Santee is the waypoint. Not to be confused with Santa Claus. Anyway, let's talk about what's going to happen next. So I reset the alt to 3,000 feet, but we're not going there yet. And the idea is that the VNAV should take us there. What I'm going to try right now is to arm that. And there it is. I just armed VNAV, so now we have this VPTH in white. That's the that's the VPAth. Not to be confused with glide path, that's later, or glide slope. It's what the vertical navigation will follow up to a point, or down to a point, I should say. So, it's what you want to look at. It will, I think, bring us down to 3,000 here, and after that to 2,000. But from here on, we have to be on the glide path to go to the runway. And I will also need to further reduce the alt so that the autopilot will actually keep going after 2,000. And when to do that is, I don't know, anybody's choice. Now, let's go over to, let's take the track IR off. Got some time. Let's go look at this. See that BOD? That's bottom of descent. What does that mean? Oh, come on. I don't want to do that. I want the flight plan. Okay. I really want that map. Let's close that. Close that. Okay. BOD. Range. I was doing the wrong one. So let's... Oh. I have not learned to pan this map. I've seen videos about it, but like a lot of videos that I watch, I don't get it the first time. Okay. BOD means bottom of descent. Well, if we were coming in higher than 4,000, which is where we belong right now, I gotta go back and check the airspeed. Problem with talking is I lose track of certain things. If we were coming from higher altitude, we would be descending to 4,000 by Lepwu. That's why it's the bottom of the descent. But after that, there will be a top of descent, a TOD, and that's where the V path that was white, that's white over here, should go green, and whoops, and the vertical navigation, VNAV, should begin doing its thing. Now, actually, I found the last time I did this, if I want to, I can reduce this to 1,400 feet. It'll still do its thing. but
1 mile northwest of Monterey.
I may
Turn
do
left,
that.
heading 130.
I may do that in a bit.
Monterey Tower on 11.8
The other thing I have to remember at FAFI, which is this is the initial approach fix.
Turn left heading
And somewhere
130.
between here or over here, I need to arm the approach. And on one of these video instructional attempts, which you're not going to see, I forgot to do that. So I didn't get the glide path. Another one, I was messing around with stuff that I should have left alone, and I lost VPAP. But I did get glide path when I armed the approach. And the glide path in VNAV is what takes you to the runway. Not to be confused with a glide slope in an instrument landing system ILS approach, because that's ground based. This is entirely satellite based. Although Watsonville does have a localizer, at least has that, slow down, which is 108.3. I've got that memorized. That's the localizer. Frequency for Watsonville, I have used that many times, the localizer there, to help line up with the runway. What are these other things? The RNAV. Well, that is basically lateral navigation. That keeps you lined up with the runway. Now, I don't know why it says /VNAV there, unless it's like one or the other, because there's an LNAV there. And you see that the minimum decision altitude, MDA, is much higher than over here. It's over 700 feet, because almost 800 in one case, because you don't have vertical guidance to the runway in those other approaches. Okay, so we're going to hit Lepwu. We're going to hit, where are we? We are at Lepwu. Okay. I'll take care of some business here. I may cancel flight following after this because
Going to 133.0 Beechcraft Oscar
the
Hotel
workload
Alpha.
gets a little crazy, and I don't want to bother
Normal
with
approach
this.
Beechcraft Alpha
And I
Lima
don't
Oscar
want
Hotel
to
Alpha
be
4000
bothered.
feet.
Okay. I'm going to try arming the approach. I'm going to push a button. And there it is. Instead of
Normal
pushing
approach Beechcraft Oscar Hotel
the
Alpha,
APR
cancel flight
button
following.
over here, I pushed a button on the on my Logitech panel. Now I'm going to do something else which I did before. I'm going to further reduce, as long as I don't mess with vertical speed, I'm okay, I found. I'm going to reduce this to like 1,400 feet. And that gives the autopilot permission really to go below this 2,000 and continue to the runway. It could be anything below 2,000. I gotta be sure I don't go too slowly. All right, TOD, what's that? That is the top of the next descent. In other words, we're gonna be going to 3,000. That used to be, that Pangea was 4,000, now it's 3,000. We hit that TOD, and there we go. V path goes green. So now, as you can see over here, we started descending. And I'm going to slow the plane, slow the, back off on the speed, because I don't want to overrun. Where are we? We're going to do this. God. I don't want to overrun the FAFI. I want to be at 3,000 there. So, don't want to go too fast. And we are still a couple of miles, so we should be able to make it. What what happened over here? I clicked up on the top there where the purple thing is, and got Simlink, which is an app associated with Navigraph that will link your position on the chart, just as it is over here, or would be up here on the VFR map, if I bothered with it. Okay, where are we? We're at, should be at 3,000, are we? Come on, we're close enough. We're at the bottom of that descent. Now, VPAT's back in white. Why? Because the beginning of the next descent is over here where it says TOD. And let me bring up flight plan again. Remember, all these things had altitudes. They were all at 4,000 feet. Well, not anymore. The cursor, it's my airspeed's dropping. Boy. Okay. But we are coming to that TOD, and you can see the last altitude, or restraint as they call them in this flight plan. The only one left is 2,000 feet at Fox-Up, and we will start going down at this next top of descent, which means the beginning. It's the beginning. It's confusing. It's the beginning of the next descent. We're at 3,000 where we need to be right now. Nothing's going to happen until we get here. I didn't used to understand that. I used to think, why isn't it descending? Well, that's because it's not time yet. So don't freak out if you don't descend right away. Everything else is right. We've done everything right. VPAT in white, glide path in white, and I think VPAT should go green about now. Hit the top of the descent. Either that. Oh, I did load the approach because we are on the glide path. Okay, didn't bother with VPAT. So we are now on the glide path, and we are going to go right down to the runway. We are descending. We're going down, and I don't need this chart anymore. I should say we're 1.9 miles from Fox-Up. We need to be at 2,000 at Fox-Up, because otherwise we might lose the glide path, just like you could lose a glide slope. So I've got 1.25 miles. I'm going to put in flaps because I want to slow this. Give us time to get there. So 1 notch. And 1 mile to go. And I hope the VNAV is calculating this properly. We got getting down to 1/2 mile. We got to get in with, I think, within 100 feet of the target altitude. So we'll keep going. And we're not there yet. 0.3 miles. Okay, we just hit our mark. 2,000 feet. Now all I have to do from here on out is monitor airspeed and throttle. And so I have a question that I keep asking. When to put the gear down? Anybody have a suggestion? Comment on it. We're 5.2 miles from the runway at this point. We've got 1 notch of flaps down there where it's blue. I love Trek IR because it gives you great situational awareness in the cockpit and around you. Especially great for taxiing and not running into things. And frankly, I prefer this. I don't think I want to do VR. I know a lot of people like it, but I'm going to put it in another full flaps. We are 3 miles out. I'm going to lower the gear down. Got the lights green. And now I'm just going to manage the throttle. So the next decision I have to make really is when to stop sucking this autopilot pacifier and be a pilot, okay? And not yet. Within 500 feet. I like to have the lateral guidance to the runway as long as I can, okay? So that means taking this as low as I can on autopilot. So there's the runway. Actually, when I'm on autopilot, I study, where the runway is on my windscreen, because it's a good lesson in perspective, trying to translate 2 dimensions on your monitor to 3 dimensions in your head. There's a lot going on in my head. Okay, we're at 500 according to her, but the Garmin lady, but her altimeter says higher, and the barrel hasn't changed.
500.
But when I get where I can't see these trees is when I'll cut out the autopilot. So I don't want to run. I don't want to end up in the bushes. Okay. So I don't know if there's a crosswind. I should have checked. There's actually I don't think so. See the little round thing there? It's telling me there isn't a crosswind. The little round gizmo that's on the PFD above the needle. So, okay, I want to get slower, slower, slower. Flare, 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 flare. There. Great. One of my better ones. Flaps. Let's brake. Bring the flaps up. I found that if I try to maneuver on the ground with flaps, it doesn't work very well. I'm gonna go park this. So I hope maybe just from watching me do this, you have a somewhat better understanding of the, we had a direct headwind, great. Understanding of the Garmin G1000 NXi, that's the working title G1000 NXi, which is still an optional thing. It's available in the marketplace. You don't have to use it. If you don't like it, you go into the marketplace and remove it, and you'll go back to the stock G1000. But frankly, this one's a lot more fun. What can you do with the other one? Well, you can fly here, you can fly there, but you can't do all the things in it that a pilot does in the actual thing, in the actual system. And so this brings a lot of realism to the sim. It can also bring a lot of frustration. And what I know about it, I've learned primarily from people on Discord. Previous video, by the way, I actually saw a jetliner. Somebody was flying a heavy. They landed with a tailwind, went off the runway, and crashed into a building. point being, if you screw up, anybody who's online with you, if you've got it set for community or whatever it is going to see it. And they'll see your ID maybe. Anyway, I've seen people spin out and crash at San Jose. Let's cut that. So that was 30 minutes. We probably covered some 60 miles or something like that. You can see I have 252 hours. So getting up there. So I've been talking about a thing called Discord. What is Discord? Discord is where you'll find a lot of serious simmers. Serious, by serious I mean pilots in real life, or IRL, real life, IRL pilots, IRL flight instructors, plus people who are just really into the weeds about this who don't fly, plus at least one guy from Working Title who will interact with you. And so I'm going to show you that now. You ever get to the point where you have too many bookworks and you can't find what you want? Or you get to an age when you can never find what you want? It's about where I am. Okay, working title. And at the bottom here, it says Discord. I used to think Discord meant a place where you could argue with people. I don't know why they call it that. It's actually an app. It's not a website. It's a gaming app. And in fact, I'm going to show it to you. It always comes up. Where is it? It's in my apps right here. And, well, I can't get to it because I'm in the way. Anyway, if you click on this, you haven't been on Discord before, you'll get an invitation. But because I'm on it, it just takes me to it. So if you want to get on Discord, and I'll show you why you should, if you're interested in learning about the NXi and a lot of other things, you'll find ongoing discussions here about this. It's a discussion thread devoted entirely to the NXi, and you will find all kinds of things. Many of them will be incomprehensible if you haven't done anything with it, but you can ask questions and people will answer. So the thing to do is get online, start messing around with it, and when you don't understand something, instead of asking on flightsim.com, where there are a lot of people like me who are just figuring it out, or flightsimulator.com, which is a bit more nuanced discussion, but still not really focused on this. Get, click over on Working Title Packages. Go back to that. Click on Discord, and you'll get an invitation, and you'll be in. Anybody can join. Anybody. They're not particular. Okay, with that, I'm going to get out of this by getting out of this. I use by the way, I don't know if this shows up, but I'm using I have an NVIDIA 3070 video card, and I'm using that to record. So I'm going to leave you with what all the air traffic control people say when they're done talking to you, and that is, good day.